Whoa. Okay. Well,
If you're not paranoid, it's probably too late. I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. I won't accept your surrender.
okay. Well, I don't know, you guys and gals. I am kind of flabbergasted and borderline flabbergasted and borderline giddy, to be honest, a little giddy over Marilyn Manson's newly released song. It just came out, and the title of it is Raise the Red Flag. And it's funny because I have been talking about for a while now what I perceive to be Manson's the quieter approach that he has taken to dealing with these false allegations that he's been dealing with now for over 3.5 years. All of that. I think that I and a lot of people expected then that he would continue in that vein with his other songs, but my God, like I'll say this, if Manson's watching, like you got me there. You got me here with this because I was not expecting that, and I'm not at all saying that it's not delightful and wonderful. Like I said, I'm kind of almost giddy over it, but it is like as direct as and aggressive as a song could be, and without actually saying the names of his accusers slash persecutors, and I won't either, but without saying their names, I mean, it couldn't be referring to anything else. I mean, I guess it's possible that it could, and he could be talking about some other situation or person in his past or some kind of internal dynamic, but I mean that just really doesn't. And let me put it this way too. No matter what was going on in his head when he wrote these lyrics, he absolutely 100% had to have known how this would be received within the context of what he's been dealing with and battling over the past 3.5 years. So, like, this is just obviously released with the understanding on his part that this is going to be seen as a very bold battle anthem, basically. I mean, raise the red flag. And of course, when anything I'm talking about in terms of like battle or war or the wording of the imagery that he uses at times, like bloody, we'll talk about it in a moment. Come on now, everybody knows it's completely metaphorical, all right, and no one is suggesting any actual violence. But he's responding here metaphorically with a number of these metaphors. I'm going to get into it in a moment, the song, but a number of these metaphors and this imagery that he's using, it's it's within the context of the fact that he has been metaphorically beaten up and sliced up and diced up over the past 3.5 plus years to the point where he really kind of died a kind of a death in a way. And, a number of people who have been through this cancellation process now describe it as a kind of ego death. And the way that so many things are stripped from someone when they are targeted and unfairly canceled, falsely accused, and in so many ways, almost everything is taken from them. And so you have in Manson's first video that he released with Sick as the Secrets Within, that he released in a while, you had all of this imagery of something being reanimated, of him struggling to come back to life and to be reborn. And so that was very much a central theme in the video, the first video. And so this is somebody who really has, in all kinds of ways, metaphorically speaking, been beat up and diced up and whatever by these false accusers and the media and even some politicians. And so I think this is an excellent, poetic, interesting response. And I don't think that there's anything juvenile about it. I saw that one of the critiques, by and large, on Reddit boards and so forth and fan forums, the fans seem to love this. But for everything, there's always going to be critiques, and there were a couple of people who were saying that this kind of a song, they termed it a quote revenge song. These redditors, they termed it a revenge song, and they said that it's really juvenile, and that's not, and it doesn't have the sophistication of the earlier song that he just released. To which I would say, like, first of all, after everything that he has been through, I think it's kind of ridiculous to expect that there wouldn't be some music that he would release with lyrics addressing what he's gone through and in a very raw way. You know, this is not, for us, all of us, it's a parlor game. It really is. It is. I mean, it sounds cold and everything, and I think a lot of us care about Manson and hate the idea of the injustice that has occurred here with his cancellation or seeming cancellation. He's coming back now. But honestly, for a lot of us, it's a parlor game. It's something interesting. It's something, entertaining or what have you. And we can speculate on this and we can, anticipate this or that, right? And cheer when things go well and be sad when they don't. But like for Manson, this is his fucking life. For him, for his wife, Lindsay, this is their fucking life. And so he has been through the ringer, and I think it's great that he is expressing himself in this song. And again, I'm just like flabbergasted and surprised and a little giddy over it because it cannot be misinterpreted as anything else but a song that is at least lyrically evoking what he's been through. So I want to read through the lyrics. Your autopsy table is ready. First of all, let's talk about the title, Raise the Red Flag. It's such a brilliant title. It works on so many different levels. Let me tell you why. First of all, in war, and so the white flag traditionally, right, is a symbol of surrender. But what I think is more interesting than the white flag is the black flag. I watched a movie about Napoleon, and to show someone in battle, to show someone the black flag, basically means like, we take no prisoners. We are going to fight you to the death with everything we have got.
Raise high the black flag. No pity. No prisoners.
Motherfuckers, basically. Right? It's as serious. The black flag is like as serious and as tough and as scary as you can get. And so this idea of raising the red flag, it evokes this sort of more classical motif of war, of lining up, and going to battle. But also the idea of the red flag, of course, has this very modern connotation of warning signs in relationships. And so I love that duality there. And it's not like it's anything that, it takes a big brain to see. I'm sure a lot of you see the same thing. But I just love that duality there with that of having those two different levels. So raise the red flag. Now let's go through it. Your autopsy table is ready. Pay off the drug deals you made with God. A last meal, then your crucifixion. If you're not paranoid, it's probably too late. Ooh, that last line. If you're not paranoid, it's probably too late. There's a saying, a popular saying, if you're not paranoid, then you're not paying attention. But this one, if you're not paranoid, it's probably too late. I don't know how you interpret that line, but to me, it's menacing and it's kind of a warning to this person, whether it's Manson or whether Manson is creating a character here, like he's done before, right? But the person who's speaking here, it's almost menacing or threatening, saying like, actually, like to their enemy or their opponent, saying, actually, you should be concerned. You should be paranoid. And if you're not, if you think you got it made, if you think everything's fine and you're, clearing in the shade and all of that, well, it's probably too late for you because I've already been planning and plotting and sneaking up on you. And now it's happening. Now, again, all of this like metaphorical and who knows exactly what he's talking about, but there's definitely a kind of a contextual thing going on, at least with this being I think very much a reaction to all the shit that he's been through. Now, continuing on. And he could also be talking to like the media as well, who have been really one of his biggest problems over the years. And not only now, but with Columbine. Okay. I don't give, I love, I love this part of the song. It's so bold. I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. I won't accept your surrender. I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. I won't accept your surrender. I mean, how do you get more abrasive than that? I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. And then here, I mean, he had to know this was going to raise some eyebrows. So again, I give it to you, Manson, and this is bold. It's time to beat up the bullies and wash the bullseye off my back. My red flag is your white one soaked in blood. Some bold imagery there. And again, evoking, battle. Cadaver dogs already know your face. Why pretend in a room full of fakes? Something made up for idiots to praise. I love that. Something made up for idiots to praise. I mean, that perfectly evokes the charade that we've experienced with this story and with others, like with Amber Heard, for instance, and some of these other fake Me Too stories, but that what we've experienced with this story, something made for idiots to praise. I think of like Drew Barrymore, who is talking to Evan Rachel Wood in that interview, and as Drew Barrymore often is, very overly effusive and idiotic, and she's like, I just want you to know that you are my hero. Something made for idiots to praise. Losers love liars till their dying day. Losers love liars till their dying day. I mean, and I love here though, this is kind of an indictment of or critique of not only the people spreading these lies and the media promulgating them as well, but like the people who believe this stuff, right? Losers. In other words, I really think that there are two types of people. There are those who just sort of dumbly go along with whatever the prevailing narratives are. And then there are those who actually think through it. And I'm not trying to insult anybody because we have all at any given time been the dumb ones, right? Like I like to think of myself as being really sophisticated and being able to see through bullshit narratives and manipulation and all that, right? But there are times that I can look back and I can see that I've fallen prey to it, whether it's like political ideology or it's media stories that I jumped on too fast or whatever, right? But I love this. It's kind of almost an exasperation that you can sense with society and um, with the lack of intelligence that allowed something like this to take over. Almost like in the Crucible. You have it's a lot of it's a lot of silly girls in that story who start what becomes deadly serious, right? Losers love liars till their dying day. I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. I won't accept your surrender. I don't give a fuck if you say you're sorry. I won't accept your surrender. It's time to beat up the bullies and wash the bullseye off my back. My red flag is your white one soaked in blood. My red flag is your white one soaked in blood. Your loyalty lies. Oh, I love this part. This might be my favorite part lyric wise. Your loyalty lies on the wrong side of the future. Your loyalty lies on the wrong side of the future. Think about this. What have we been talking about in relation to Me Too and the excesses, at least, of Me Too and the problems with victim feminism? We talked about how right now it seems to many people that's the heroic perspective. Believe all women and we're standing up for women and we're fighting abusers, et cetera, but that in fact we will look back at this time later on, and we already are starting to. We will look back at this time and in some of these witch hunts, and we'll see a kind of a collective, in a lot of ways, a kind of a collective hysteria or sexual panic and sort of neo-Victorianism in a way. We've talked about all of this, right? And so he says your loyalty, it's like he's acknowledging your loyalty, like you actually have he's speaking to the people who believe this stuff and also the activists, I think, who promote this. And he's saying, like, there's a good feeling at the heart of this, which is that most of you want to help women, you want to do the right thing, you have a sense of loyalty, but your loyalty lies on the wrong side of the future. And that is, you know, that is something that is really almost frightening when you actually think about it. And what I'm talking about is the idea that someone can pour their heart and soul into a cause or into a belief or into some kind of an action or activity or engagement, they can pour their heart and soul into it. They can devote countless hours, precious hours of their lives that they won't get back, blood, sweat, and tears. They can at times do things that are perhaps ruthless or in the pursuit of whatever this ideal is. But then what happens when someone does all of that and they get to the end of that dream, so to speak, and they find out that they've been on the wrong side? And that's happened with so many people, who've taken up causes and then later become disillusioned and had to deal with that. But I think that there's something to that is so sort of terrifying about the prospect of that. And so when he says this here toward the end of the song, your loyalty lies on the wrong side of the future, and repeats it, there's something like chilling about that. I think is very interesting, and also an acknowledgement of the political moment and sort of cycles of history. And then he repeats again the chorus again, and that's how the song ends. So, obviously there's a lot going on there too that I'm not even beginning to really sort of think through or understand, because I know these kinds of songs work on so many different levels. But I'm just pretty shocked and impressed by the boldness of this, the ballsiness of it, knowing how this could be misinterpreted or that it'll ruffle feathers. I mean, it seems designed in a way to do so. So great, awesome, and I hope it gets a lot of attention. And don't for 1 minute think that the people who have been persecuting Manson, that they didn't deserve a song like this. This is so much more mild than the kind of social rebuke that those ladies, those schemers, those liars deserve. And I'll just leave it at that, because I don't, and you know what? I wasn't even going to focus much, if at all, on the hoax against Manson right now, because we know when he put out the first song, the earlier song, I really tried to spend a lot of time just talking about that and how cool it was and its merits and so forth. The same thing with covering the concert that I went to. But with this, I mean, this is such, like I said, this is a song that is so obviously understood by the writer and the producers to be evoking what Manson has been through. And so it just seemed obvious to me that, okay, well, it's time to talk about this stuff again. And so I put out on Twitter today a really long thread summarizing what I would say are the best points in favor of Manson against these Me Too allegations that have been directed at him. But I also have a video that I'm putting out soon. It'll be my next video. I'll put out probably later today, this morning, about meeting Manson and his wife. I did talk about this on Instagram, but this is just a shortened version that I'm putting out on my channel. So I know some of you are interested in that. You can check it out, and I'll have more content. But again, I'm just like, whoa, what a provocative and ballsy song to put out, and I think it's really interesting and surprising and cool. So I forgot to even critique or discuss the sound, like the music, because I was just so I was so bowled over by the lyrics, the boldness of it, but conceptually. But I actually thought that the song, for some reason, it reminded me, and I'm not a music theorist, but it reminded me of the Stranger Things, running up that hill, Kate Bush. And I don't know, something about it. Maybe it's some of the synth or whatever going on in the background. But something about it reminded me of that, which actually, like a harder, much harder version, obviously. But actually, that would sort of work if you think about the fact that Manson has been running up that hill for like 3.5 years since all of this shit started. So everybody, check out my channel if you're not familiar with my work. As always, I appreciate your support, and I do this based on your support, and my links are below. Tips always appreciated. And so, yeah, talk to you later. Bye.